are going to continue along here this afternoon. I keep forgetting that damn thing goes right in the face. Anyway, so I'm going to move back over here. One great last panel. Rob, thank you to tune in. You guys saved me a couple times this summer where all I wanted to do was just grill outside, have a beer, and listen to a Phillies game. Tune in came up #1, so good job, AJ, on that. And I was able to listen to the game while I grilled. It was awesome. And if you want to talk canonicals later, happy to talk about them for hours later at the happy hour. So with that, again, we're going to move forward. Our next panel is going to be our first that's really focused in the publisher space. I know a lot of what we talked about today was a little more maybe technical and on the retail side. So excited for this session, excited for this panel. Publisher perspectives on the shifting search landscape. We have Gail Buffington, Head of Data Science and Analytics at MilliporeSigma, Jerri Helms, Vice President of Digital Marketing and Analytics at HarperCollins, and Brian McDowell, who has been in SEO for many years and went through a lot of logistics to get here. I think he's been in like 3 cities in 3 days just to be here to talk with you all. So excited to have them all come up on stage. Let's give them a round of applause.
So I know Frank kind of teased this a little bit by saying this is a shift in kind of the content here, but actually it does tie back to a lot of the things that we've been hearing over and over again, which is specifically that I feel like we're really at an inflection point in the industry in that opportunities, new and emerging opportunities, are happening faster now than they have at any point that at least I can remember. So the first thing I wanted to ask, and Jerri, I want to start with you, is can you highlight how some of those emerging opportunities are really affecting you in the publisher space?
Yeah, well, everything's changing really quickly. And as Sarah kind of mentioned earlier about the book space, we all kind of have the same descriptions and different things. So it's really how do you differentiate yourself with those in that space. So for example, for us, really knowing your market, knowing your audience, knowing who's looking for those particular pieces of content. And for us, like recently, just kind of looking at voice search or, as Adrian mentioned this morning, conversational, kind of the way that people are actually searching, and paying attention to how people are interacting and looking for our products and what is it that we need to do to make them more discoverable. So in our particular case, looking at the proliferation of podcasts and how many people listen to them. A lot of people are discovering audiobooks, or they're listening to things through their personal assistants like their Alexa or their Google Home, etc. And finding that almost 25% of people are ordering books through those, and they're doing that in a conversational or a voice search capacity. So how do we keep our teams educated and really thinking more about the long tail search aspect of those different things and the kind of keywords that people are searching for to find those particular products? So that's one of them.
From my point of view, there's a couple different parts of publishing, right? There's news publications, so being current, being up to date. There's blogs. I focus more on the technical side of how to get your content discovered, how to get Google to keep up with it, what to do with the ever-changing algorithms and how to benefit those to our best abilities. So happy to go into more detail there, but I do believe that we should also be building content for robots, for the autonomous user. And that's one of the biggest and hardest things to sell internally. We can have great writers, we can have great editorial, but we also need to build it in such a way that Google can crawl it and decipher the information based on the doc type that we have in our HTML, which most of the time is HTML5 now, but we talk about schema, we talk about canonicals with duplicate content. There's a lot of tech debt in these companies, and structuring it in such a way that we can get that one piece of content identified above all else and all our competitors is huge.
Well, I think for a lot of us, our North Star for how we evaluate these emerging opportunities and how we're going to pursue them or whether they're going to work for us is around kind of how is this going to help us better customer engagement? Yeah. So are there any particular strategies that you guys use to define how you're going to look at engagement as it relates to those strategies?
Well, do you want to take that one first?
I'll start. I think from specific strategies to take advantage of, It starts with your niche. Every niche is different. Not only your niche, what you have the ability to take care of internally, what kind of resources you have in-house. So doing a TAM against your competitive landscape is crucial. So when I was at Credit Karma, editorial, SEO, ASO, and CRO were all under my purview. So doing a TAM and understanding, some of our competitors were credible, Wallet Hub, NerdWallet. What are and Bankrate, I think we've all know what Bankrate did last year. But understanding their strategies and not being a fast follow, but hey, what do I have at my disposal to do as well? Because we have to test and we have to iterate quickly. So Wallet Hub did a lot of programmatic content, but they also had industry experts from universities. Maybe that was a toy to go after. You look at Credible, they have a distribution network of some exclusive partnerships with Fox, and maybe that's something we want to go after. So really trying to understand what your competitors are doing and then building that better and going. You can't really go all in also because you have to diversify your portfolio. Sorry, I'm trying to talk. I've been talking all week. You have to diversify your portfolio as well. You can look on some of the tools that are out there, and you can see that Credit Karma got hit by a core algorithm update in May of 2000, right after the pandemic. We were fortunate enough that we also had stopped our paid search programs right around the pandemic time. So we got a lot of resources to come in on the SEO side, did a lot of tech debt cleanup, and then the next core algorithm update in December, you can see we popped right back.
Well, I was going to say, implicit in that is basically we're all fighting a resource fight anyway. Very few of us have anywhere near the resources we would ideally want to have. So you're not only having to figure out what you're competing against, but then you're also having to triage, what is the best possible fit for what I have available.
Yeah.
Jerri.
And I think we have a really different perspective on that because where I sit, I'm sitting in between IT and marketing and the authors, right? So for us, we're looking at what are the emerging trends? How are people, talking about these particular things? How do we make that content more discoverable? What tools are we using to do that? And it's not just even educating our marketers on that, but just making sure that everybody knows, when you get inside the marketing and the publicity space, people hear the word SEO and they all panic, like, what is that? What are you talking about? But so I find for us, it's trying to make that approachable and make sure that everybody's educated in those areas and understand that SEO is everybody's job. It really is. And that for our teams, trying to make sure they're thinking about it from the point that they're signing content. And is this something that people are looking for? Is this a topic people are talking about? Is this a fiction genre that people are interested in? Or what are those new emerging trends that are out there, and how are people talking about it? And where do we need to go? And how do we need to structure our content to be found? And in some cases, we need to educate the authors too, and we're trying to think about the searchability and the discoverability 15, 12 months in advance to make sure that our authors are doing things where they're thinking about writing content. They're not necessarily thinking about search and discoverability and all of those types of things. So how is it that we can help and educate them? So those are some ways that we're looking at it.
Yeah. And I definitely feel like marketing is one of the areas that has the biggest discrepancy between how much people think they know it versus how much they actually know it.
Sure.
And so having that, embedded down into the organization is always kind of an uphill battle because you're constantly doing the education, not just for your own team, but the other teams out there who think, oh, marketing's a simple concept. I get this.
Right. Well, and you're thinking too, metadata optimization on the back end for us with products. What we're doing for regular discoverability might be different if we're in that one platform where a lot of people buy books, right? Like there's a certain search algorithm that's taking place there that we need to think about as well when we're doing those.
And it goes beyond just the search algorithms too. I mean, it sounds like there's a good linking program or platform coming out within Bodify as well. There's going to be tags that they're looking at, so obviously your metadata becomes even more important. If you can optimize your keywords, if that's going to be something you look at, you got to make sure that the evangelism and the education throughout the organization is huge. Bodify does 100%. A great job of understanding which teams you need to do more evangelism with. Is it the dev team? Do you have to work on your canonicals? Do you have to work on your link depth? Do you have to work on your metadata?
Yeah.
And that's where platforms like this are crucial. We had our entire editorial team in Botify. They know enough about SEO to be dangerous. They can't make the SEO decisions, but they know enough to be dangerous, so you don't have to educate them as much on a regular basis.
That's great.
Yeah, it's not as heavy of a lift then.
Right.
So we've talked a little bit about, resources and just the speed of change within the industry overall. But what are some other significant challenges that you're facing as, we're moving to really kind of a new state in the world of SEO?
Yeah, I think there's all the pieces with AI and all of those things too, but really making sure that people understand that the human element is really important in how we're going to be moving forward, and that there is that creativity there that we need to be paying attention to with grassroots content and the kind of the structure of how we're doing things. And I think people are scared of how fast things are moving, and at least sitting on the marketing side, marketers today are expected to be kind of these jacks of all trades of all these different types of things, and just making sure that they're educated and understanding and feel supported and knowledgeable about how we're going to get those products out there. And yeah, I think it's been challenging to have marketers think about metadata, but they do. And once they understand it and know enough to be dangerous, they really do kind of come alongside you, because, the bottom line goal is everybody wants the product sold. And yeah.
Yeah, and I think testing new initiatives is very, very difficult these
Sure.
days. Speed to development. I don't know how many people here on the SEO side have dedicated engineering teams dedicated to them.
Wow.
So less than half, maybe I'd say a little over
Or
a third.
quarter, yeah.
Those are the teams that are probably moving a little bit faster than everybody else, right? Because they're able to implement a lot faster. When you want to try to test something new, when you want to try to see what kind of impact it's going to have, once you go live, you have to wait a couple weeks to really see the impact, and then to iterate and to go deeper and to expand it across everything else. Those people who just raised their hands, are you confident in your ability to move fast? I see a couple thumbs up. What about the people who didn't raise your hands? Are you confident that that a lot of no's, a lot of people laughing and smiling? That's where, again, the evangelism up the C chain is equally as important.
Well, and I think even with testing, people are so used to having immediate returns on tests that you're also doing the education process of, this is, a marathon, not a sprint. So even when we're testing, even if we can get things out the door quickly, there's still like a fairly lengthy process involved in this.
Yeah, and I'd say there are some tests that you could do that you can see almost instant results from. Distributed content or dynamic content has been tried for years. Some people think the first time they try it, they're just going to do Mad Lib content. We know for a fact that typically doesn't work, but you can make it work to a certain extent if you're using 5 or 6 different blocks and only going 10 or 12 pages deep, changing the image on the top, changing the RBG of the main part of the image so Google doesn't see it as an exact duplicate also. But getting those immediate results so you can sell it up the chain is so hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree.
AI, everybody here is testing AI.
Yeah.
I'm personally a fan. I mean, look at Bankrate. I haven't looked with the latest core algorithm, but what they messed up on is with their QA and their editorial process of just their compliance. I think it's definitely worth putting investment in, but again, you've got to diversify. You don't know what Google's going to do in the next core algorithm update.
And I think we're all really excited for the next 2 sessions with both have AI focuses. It's one of those things that we, could have had that discussion somewhat a year ago, but now it's just so super powered. There's just so many different directions. So one other thing that I wanted to bring up, and it isn't necessarily as directly focused on publishers, but we had a conversation before this panel where you both had some really great insights on what you're looking for in hiring people. And Jerri, I wanted to start with you because I really liked your perspective on this.
Yeah, I think, you get a lot of, things are changing so fast, right? And I think curiosity is an underrated skill that people have. Their agility, their ability to learn, just that ability to take it one step further. And I'm finding that's not as easy of a skill set to find as one would think, that they're just willing to take that extra step. They're willing to try different things. They're not afraid of failing. I want people who want to fail as well. And it means they're trying. I mean, do it quickly, of course, but and don't lose a lot of money. But let's be willing to try new things, test new things, A/B test. Dive deeper into that research to really find where it is do we need to go. And as we talk about AI, that's backward looking. We still need to augment the human thinking on where we need to go. And if we don't have people who are curious and just don't have that ability to really think outside the box on these types of things, then that's something I'm really looking for, and it's very hard to find. But when you do, it makes for one heck of a dynamic team.
Yeah.
To have them all working together like that.
Yeah, I love the curiosity. I love the competitive spirit. I want somebody who just wants to win, 100% just wants to win. Good at math, loves to dig into data. Also want somebody who likes to sit down in a spreadsheet for a whole day.
Oh God,
like
somebody
who can
has
put
to
on
do
the
it.
tunes and just like rip it out, because I think everybody here, we're going to get to a management point at some point in our careers. We're going to have direct reports, but when you have direct reports, you're still rolling up your sleeves. You're still ripping through it. And competitive insights, everything you're doing to prove success, you got to be willing to roll up your sleeves and just get dirty for a while. And I want somebody with that kind of go mentality, and not somebody who's going to sit back and just play the politics game. I need somebody who's going to go in and attack the data.
Absolutely. And I think this kind of ties back a little to what we were talking about earlier, where we said, SEO isn't a department, it's got to be a mindset through the organization. And so you've got to have those people who are going to be able to foster that sort of mindset throughout the organization. So is there anything in particular you're doing with your teams, if you get these curious, engaged minds in to help drive that through the organization? Any particular tactics or anything that's working well for you?
Yeah, I mean, I make it a point to check in regularly. I mean, with the people that report to me, and make sure that where is it that they want to go? What is it that they want to be trying? Are there things outside? I've got an email person who records podcast episodes, because that's just something that she has a talent and a desire to do. And it's really helped us in growing audiobooks through podcasting and different things like that. So it's not everybody comes into a role wanting to do that for the rest of their life. So what are we doing as management, right, to foster and help them to discover those different things, and just really allowing them to explore? And I really try not to make it a micro environment, but where all ideas are accepted and we can toss them around and see, what can we try and not.
And I give all of mine a career development plan. And it's a document, and I specifically ask them to fill it out. It's what they want in 2 years, what they want in 5 years, what I can do to help them get there. Some people don't want to be managers. They're more IC related. But I'm happy to pseudo share it with you guys or go into more detail. But it's extremely effective. It's about 4 pages long. They fill it out, then we review it together. Just in context, Aaron Schwartz, who reported to me at Credit Karma, we got his 5-year plan done in 2 years. Because we don't look at it every day. We will look at it every, twice a year.
But it's top of mind.
But it is top of mind. I know which conversations to get him or her in front of. I know what to do that they're excited about, and I can build projects for them that's going to excite them to get to their next level.
Yeah.
I can't tell them what they're going to do with their career. I need them to tell me.
Yeah.
That's exactly true. Yeah, we do the same thing with the career development plans and sitting down. And if you don't have that conversation, to your point, how do you get them in front of the audiences or allow them to do those different things?
Then it's our
Unspoken is forgotten.
responsibility. Right?
Yeah,
it's our
it is.
responsibility to open those doors.
So last question for each of you before we run out of time. Is there anything specific in the publisher or aggregator space that really excites you over the next, 3 to 6 months?
AI. Still, I mean, I hate saying that. It seems like a cop-out, right? A year ago, I don't think it would have been as strong of a conversation. I think now there's so many things to test in productivity that we could be doing there. And I think we're just on it scares me too. I still think there's enough bias. I know we're going to talk about that later today, but I'm still excited about it.
Yeah, and I would have to agree. And I'm actually, taking the time right now to look and see what are these things that I do on the regular that it might be able to be, lift that and take that burden from us. But I think in the publishing space, I'm just also really excited about the content creativity and what we're going to be able to do in marketing and how much faster we're going to be able to move with things like AI. Yeah. Once, of course, we navigate the whole legal aspect of it, because that's the unfun part of this right now, is trying to get through that part of it. But yeah,
once you take the mundane, rote tasks out of it, how much more creative, how much more of that, part of our brain can we open up to work on tasks that are actually meaningful.
When you're spending all those times in spreadsheets, if there are things that can actually help you pull out and summarize and different things like that, just the amount of time it leaves you open to do other things. And yeah.
We are basically right up on time, but if there are any questions, let me just double check that there's nothing in the queue here. If there are any questions. Otherwise, Jerri, Brian, thank you both so much. Really enjoyed talking to you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.